We just covered how intelligence is measured. Now comes a question those measurements ignited, and few debates in psychology have been more heated. Where does intelligence come from? Is it baked in by our genes or built by our environment? The tool researchers use to study this is heritability, a statistic estimating how much of the variation in a trait across a group is due to genetic differences. Twin and adoption studies suggest intelligence is substantially heritable. Identical twins raised apart still end up with strikingly similar scores. But here's the part people constantly get wrong. Heritability is about variation within a group, not about any one person, and it never means a trait is fixed or unchangeable. It says nothing about why two groups might differ. And the environment clearly matters enormously. Enriched, stimulating surroundings raise scores. Poverty, malnutrition, and chronic stress lower them. The clearest proof that environment matters is something called the Flynn effect, named for researcher James Flynn. Flynn discovered that average IQ scores rose dramatically across the 20th century by about 3 points a decade in country after country. People today score far higher than their grandparents did on the same tests. Now, our genes did not change in a few generations, so something in the environment, better nutrition, more schooling, more complex, abstract demands in daily life has been steadily pushing scores up. The Flynn effect is the single strongest piece of evidence that intelligence is not a fixed, purely inborn quantity. This brings us to the most sensitive issue of all, group differences in average scores. For decades, observed gaps between groups were wrongly attributed to genetics, but that interpretation collapses under scrutiny. Such differences track closely with differences in opportunity, wealth, education, and the lingering effects of discrimination. And there's a measurable psychological factor too, stereotype threat. When people are reminded of a negative stereotype about their group right before a test, their performance drops, simply from the anxiety of fearing they'll confirm it. The stereotype becomes self-fulfilling, through nothing more than the pressure it creates. The honest scientific consensus is this. Intelligence emerges from a deeply tangled interaction of genes and environment, and the tests measure performance shaped by both. We can't cleanly separate the two. In the next and final segment, we'll look at the people at the far ends of the curve and ask whether the things the tests miss might matter just as much as the things they catch.